Why are there not more people talking about the Philippines' bold refusal to accept Iranian refugees? This single decision is sending shockwaves across the globe, igniting controversy and debate at every level. News headlines erupt as the Philippines' refusal reverberates worldwide. The move sparks outrage, reflection, and heated debate, with the world watching Manila's every step. For Iranian refugees, the message is devastating. Hopes for sanctuary are dashed at the border, leaving families stranded and desperate. Their futures uncertain. International leaders issue statements and hold press conferences, but real help remains out of reach. Humanitarian offices stand empty as the crisis deepens. Refugee camps in the region overflow, resources are stretched thin, and the suffering of those turned away by the Philippines only grows. The slamming of the Philippine door is a stark symbol. Empathy is in short supply, and those in need are left to fend for themselves. The Philippines' choice will shape its future and reputation. As the world reacts, the nation must reckon with the consequences of turning its back on those seeking refuge. In a moment that will be remembered for generations, Iran's president steps before the cameras. Not with the usual rhetoric of defiance, but with a voice heavy with desperation and hope. He addresses not just his own people, but the entire world, breaking with tradition to make a direct emotional plea for help. He paints a harrowing picture of a nation in crisis, children going hungry, families torn apart, and once bustling cities now gripped by chaos and uncertainty. The future, he warns, is slipping away, stolen by forces beyond their control. The suffering is visible in every corner of the country, from rural villages to the heart of Tehran. His message is unambiguous. Open your borders, offer sanctuary to our people, and give them a chance to survive until the storm passes. He appeals to the world's sense of humanity, asking nations to look beyond politics and see the faces of those in need, ordinary Iranians desperate for safety and dignity. In a surprising twist, he singles out the Philippines, a nation thousands of miles away, as a beacon of hope and a potential safe haven. The choice is unexpected, raising questions and curiosity across the globe. The world is stunned. News outlets scramble to interpret the significance. Why the Philippines? What history or connection could have prompted this extraordinary request? The announcement dominates headlines and social media feeds, sparking debates and speculation everywhere. Iran's government quickly follows up with formal diplomatic requests, focusing their efforts on Manila. They invoke a sense of shared history, mutual respect, and the global responsibility to protect the vulnerable. The message is clear. This is not just about Iran, but about the world's collective conscience. Iranian officials frame their appeal as an opportunity for the Philippines to lead with compassion and moral courage, rather than seeing it as a burden. They urge Filipino leaders to rise to the occasion, to set an example for the international community. The urgency is unmistakable. Iran's leaders plead, let the Philippines become a safe harbor, a temporary refuge until their homeland can recover and stabilize. For countless Iranian families, this could mean the difference between life and death. The scale of the crisis is staggering. Millions may soon be seeking refuge, overwhelming borders and testing the limits of international solidarity. The world has rarely seen a humanitarian appeal of this magnitude. For Iran, this is a last-ditch gamble, a final attempt to save its people from disaster. The stakes could not be higher. Now the world holds its breath, waiting to see how the Philippines and the rest of humanity will respond to Iran's unprecedented appeal. Why the Philippines? Iran's choice was strategic. The Philippines has a legacy of welcoming refugees, from Russians to Jews to Vietnamese. Its distance from the Middle East makes it a true safe haven, far from the conflict. Iran bets on Filipino empathy, knowing millions of Filipinos have lived as migrants themselves. A small Iranian community in Manila could help newcomers adapt. Iran also sees the Philippines as flexible, open to economic and diplomatic incentives. It's a high-stakes gamble, hoping the Philippines' humanitarian heart outweighs its fears. Iran's campaign is relentless. Envoys in Manila offer economic deals, discounted oil, and promises of investment. They vow to vet every refugee, cover all costs, and ensure no burden falls on Filipino taxpayers. The pitch? This isn't just charity, it's a smart partnership. Iran frames the arrangement as temporary, safe, and mutually beneficial. At first, Manila listens, intrigued by the promises, but doubts grow. Can Iran deliver? Will the benefits outweigh the risks? Domestic concerns and geopolitical realities begin to overshadow Iran's offers. Sympathy gives way to caution. The hope Iran tried to cultivate starts to fade. The answer is coming, and it won't be what Iran wants to hear. The verdict is swift and unequivocal. The Philippines will not accept Iranian refugees. The official announcement, delivered from the heart of Malacanang Palace, leaves no room for doubt or negotiation. The government's position is firm, and the message is broadcast across the nation. Citing self-preservation, officials argue that the country's resources are already stretched thin. With a growing population and ongoing economic challenges, leaders insist that security must remain paramount. They point to limited infrastructure, strained social services, and the need to prioritize the welfare of Filipino citizens above all else. Public opposition is fierce and vocal. Across Manila and beyond, protests erupt in the streets, with demonstrators waving banners and chanting slogans against the acceptance of refugees. On social media, hashtags like #NoToRefugees trend rapidly, amplifying the call for a hardline stance. Fears of economic strain, potential security threats, and the risk of cultural clashes dominate conversations in homes, markets, and workplaces. Many Filipinos worry that accepting refugees could worsen unemployment, increase competition for basic services, and disrupt the delicate social fabric of the nation. The government frames its decision as responsible leadership, emphasizing that putting Filipinos first is not just a policy, but a duty. Officials reassure the public that every action is taken with the nation's best interests at heart, seeking to maintain stability and order. This marks a significant break from the country's humanitarian past. The Philippines, once known for opening its doors to those in need, now turns away, signaling a shift in national priorities and values. The contrast is stark when compared to its limited acceptance of Afghan refugees, a move made under the watchful eye and support of the United States. That exception now seems like a rare gesture in an era of tightening borders. The message is unmistakable. The Philippines is closing its doors, reinforcing its borders, and signaling a new era of caution and restriction. For Iran and the watching world, this is a defining moment. The decision reverberates far beyond the archipelago, raising questions about global responsibility and the future of international solidarity. The Great Wall of Manila is up, and as the world watches, the consequences, both seen and unseen, are only just beginning to unfold. Security concerns drive the refusal. Officials fear extremists could slip in among refugees, importing conflict to Philippine soil. Memories of the Marawi siege and ongoing insurgencies make the risk feel real. Even with Iran's vetting promises, the sheer numbers make guarantees impossible. Accepting refugees could entangle the Philippines in Middle Eastern politics, risking backlash from Iran's enemies or unwanted alliances. The government chooses stability over compassion, wary of repeating Europe's refugee crisis. The calculus is cold national security trumps humanitarian ideals. The suffering of strangers is outweighed by the fear of the unknown. The world reacts, divided and vocal. The US quietly supports Manila, praising its focus on security. The EU expresses regret, wishing for more humanitarian action. Human rights groups condemn the decision as a betrayal of the Philippines' legacy. China seizes the moment, hinting that US pressure shaped Manila's choice and positioning itself as Iran's new friend. ASEAN neighbors breathe a sigh of relief, glad the Philippines took the heat. Iran is furious, calling the decision inhumane and humiliating. The Philippines is now praised by some, condemned by others. Its reputation as a humanitarian nation is under fire. The fallout is immediate and far-reaching. Iran may retaliate, cutting ties, shifting alliances, or partnering with China. The Philippines' image as a compassionate nation is tarnished, its soft power diminished. Future humanitarian partnerships may be harder to forge. Domestically, the decision sets a precedent. Public sentiment now shapes foreign policy. Nationalist voices grow louder, making future openness unlikely. Iran's pivot to China could bring new security challenges closer to Philippine shores. In trying to avoid entanglement, the Philippines may have invited new risks. In the end, the Philippines chose security over sanctuary. Leaders defend the decision as responsible, prioritizing their own people, but the images of desperate families and the memory of Iran's plea will linger. The refusal marks a turning point, a nation's humanitarian legacy traded for safety. The backlash, diplomatic, reputational, and strategic, may haunt the Philippines for years. The door was shut to keep chaos out, but new dangers may now be closer than ever. Was this the right call or a failure of moral courage? The answer isn't simple. It's a tangle of fear, duty, and consequence. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.